everyone. And, as I was preparing for this summit, I knew I was speaking yesterday and today. And yesterday I talked about, beyond the scale and losing all that weight that you're carrying physically, mentally, and spiritually. And I really meditated on what was my message for today. And it was very clear to me as I meditated and as I connected with my higher self and the universe that the message today was about rising up. And it's interesting that this would happen, and a whole bunch of ideas came out of that. But what I really want to talk to you about is just really where I started, because you may have heard this before and you may not have, but there was a time where I had that checklist. Does anybody know what that checklist is? Did you have a checklist? Yeah, if you put a one in the chat, the checklist of everything that I thought I wanted in life. And I set about getting that. So I graduated high school. I went to college to be a psychiatric nurse. I married my college sweetheart. We bought a house. I got a job in public health. And we have three beautiful girls who are all adults now. Check, 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 check. I was, primary support to my mom. Check, 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 check. And I was so focused on checking off that checklist that I lost myself in that process. I began to just listen to everything else around me, and everything else became so important, and I became less important because my checklist was everything that I thought I wanted in life. And I gave and I gave. I was a psychiatric nurse, worked in mental health I think I worked in the system for 28, no, maybe 27 years. And I gave there, I gave to my family, I gave to my girls. I would try and go do something for myself, and something would come up that was important with one of those, and I would put that to the side. And I just lost myself in that process. Have you ever felt that way, where you've lost yourself to all those things that you were trying to build in your life? Have you ever done that? It came to me when I was having a conversation with my eldest daughter, who was 16 at the time and having trouble with a boy, as kids always do. And she stopped doing things that she loved. She stopped singing, she stopped dancing, she started to do things that she wouldn't normally do to be with this boy. And we had a conversation as she cried about it. And I said to her, I gave her the great motherly advice: if they truly care about you, then they're going to encourage you to do all the things you love. They're going to encourage you to, to be everything you want to be. And they're not going to encourage you to do things that you don't want to do. And she took that and she, ended that relationship. And a light bulb went off for me. The light bulb was this: I was teaching them that. I was teaching them that they go last, that all those people that they care about go before their needs. That's what I was modeling to them. See, I wanted them to have the best life possible. And so I thought, by sacrificing myself, that I was giving that to them. And yes, they had a lot of great things in growing up. But what I was also teaching them is that when you care about people and you love them, that you go last. And that is not what I wanted for my girls. I wanted them to live full and passionate lives. And then I understood that this was a moment that it was time for me to make a change, not just for me, but for them and for all the people I care about. So I set about doing that. I set about changing things so that I did what was good for me. Because what was good for me was also good for the people that I love. So I left my marriage of 21 years because I knew it wasn't good for me. It wasn't good for my kids. We made a life with my kids and my mom, and we started that path of figuring out who I am, what I want to do, what do I like? And sometimes when we start that path, we feel, oh, like this is great. This is what I was supposed to do. I'm following my path. And what can happen is that it's not as easy as we thought it was going to be. And like any separation or divorce, it wasn't always easy. We had times where we didn't get along. We had times where things came out that never should have come out. And I kept giving. I was worried about my kids. I was worried about my mom. I was worried about the people I was working with because that's what I was used to. I went back into that safety. And there was one day that I can remember. I was on my lunch break and one more thing came at me. Just one more thing to pile on top of the other things. And it was that straw that broke my camel's back. And I can remember driving back to work at the end of lunch. I worked in urgent mental health in our urgent care in our city. And I parked my truck there and I took a breath and I thought, I got 3.25 hours left to go. I got to get through this. So I got out of my truck. I went and did my 3.25 hours, saw the people I needed to help them. And I went to go look for my keys. Purse, not there. Coat, not there. Not in my desk, not in all those places. And I thought, oh, of course. Of course my keys aren't here. Well, I sure hope that my truck is still there when I'm ready to go at the end of the day, because that would just, finish the day off for me. Ever felt like that where it's like, well, what else can you throw at me? Never throw that out to the universe. Don't throw that out. What else can you throw it at me? Well, I went out to my truck and not only was it there, but it was still running. I had been so overwhelmed and had so much going on that I actually left my truck running for 3.25 hours in the parking lot at urgent care in a busy parking lot, but it was still there. And I can just remember getting in to the truck and thinking, oh, holy, and then looking at my gas tank and realizing that I was as empty as my gas tank now was. I was just empty. And I knew that I needed to start to fill myself. Put a 2 in the chat if you've ever been at that point where you just feel empty and done. You've not refilled yourself. And it's just done. Yeah, I was there. But you see, I was a therapist for, over 20 years at that time. I should have known better. I should have seen the signs. I should have used those tools that I know to give to other people. Have you ever judged yourself for that too? Absolutely. But what I knew was that there was something that I needed more than those things that I had been helping people with, because those were wonderful tools and they helped that conscious mind. We talked a little bit about this with Tyler, to change, reframe, and all of those things. But what I was missing was my spirit, my faith, and my trust, and my belief. And so I sought to find mentors who would help me with that. I learned a lot of things. I got some certifications, angel certifications. I got my Reiki. I'm a Reiki master. And it was in those times where I really realized where real change can happen. It was in those times that I surrendered and accepted that I wasn't able to do this all myself, that everything became clear in my path. And I was able to build. Now, there is definitely lots more to my story for sure. But what I want you to know is that everything turned out just fine. I took that path. I opened myself to what the universe was telling me. I surrendered to it. And guess what? I have built this amazing business. I run summits where I'm able to share this wonderful, all of these wonderful speakers with you to rise up in your life. This is what I've been able to build by the surrendering to what the universe really wanted for me, because I worked in public health. We weren't allowed to do this. And so I knew that I needed to leave. And that's when I built Rise of the Phoenix. And I'm so happy you're here with us today. Thank you, Krista. I think that I had a direction to go in today, and I really am going to try and stick to that a bit, but I'm also really being led to take a little bit of a direction change with that, because I think you all need to know. First of all, I want you to understand, and you heard me say this yesterday, that you are worthy. It was when I understood that I didn't have to give more, I didn't have to be more, I didn't have to have more. I was worthy right in that moment, at that worst, that most vulnerable moment when I was exhausted. I was worthy. And I want you to understand that you are worthy too. That you're worthy of having and creating this life that you truly want. Because so many times we feel like we don't deserve it. All of those things that come up in the past tell us we don't deserve it or we're not worthy. You are worthy. And I'm telling you that right now. You are worthy. And when I understood that, that also started me on the path to changing things. And I want you to know, as I started changing and I started taking care of myself and following my passions, it also allowed the people in my life that I care about to grow too. Because I was keeping them actually from learning the things that they were supposed to learn on their journey by always being there and always taking care of those things. And they learned their own resilience, their own strength, and that they could figure things out themselves because I stepped back and started doing it for myself. You may have heard this a few times with the speakers, that when we take care of our own passions and our own things, we are much better able to help and support the people that we care about or the people that we serve. I'm living proof of that. So here's a few things that I want to leave you with that are really, really important. I was talking, I think it was with Hillis or Tyler, that I'm working towards my doctorate in metaphysics, in metaphysical therapy. And some of the things that I have been doing all along have been giving me clues as to how I'm supposed to grow in this life. Now, you'll hear a lot about purpose, living your purpose, finding your purpose, having your purpose. And I think what's kind of become a misunderstanding with purpose is that it's out there, that we've got to find it out there. Have any of you felt that when you're looking for your purpose, it's out there somewhere? The answers are out there. We're going to, we keep walking, we're going to find it and we're going to bring it to us. Here's the thing. Your purpose is in here, but here's the other thing. Our souls are here on this earth to learn their lessons. And you living your life, you are already living your purpose. How about that? How about that? How about taking that off your shoulders, that you, in being who you are and living your life and learning, you are already living your purpose. And your purpose is for your soul to learn and grow. And it does with all the things we experience in life. So the first thing I want you to know is that you are already living in your purpose. You are already exactly where you're supposed to be. And when we live in that purpose, it opens our minds and our hearts and our souls to the next phase or the next growth, the next rise up of our phoenix comes from taking those steps. Comes back to being grateful for the now. Exactly grateful, finding those things to be grateful for in the now. So here's the thing. When we're looking at creating this life we really, really want, it is about working with those things together. The conscious, the subconscious. We can call it subconscious or unconscious. We're referring to the same thing, and soul and our spirit. Because that's where change truly happens, is when we work with them all together to make that change. The other thing is living in a state of continual expectancy. You might not have heard this before, but we tend to be really hard on ourselves and we think, I'm never going to get there. Have you ever done that? No, this isn't going to get better. This is hard to get better. When you live in a state of faith and continual expectancy, knowing that the universe wants you to be happy and successful and have all of those things in your life that you want, and that you expect those to happen, this is a game changer. This is a game changer, because then we open our minds and our souls and our, conscious, subconscious, all of it, to listen to the messages that are being given to us. All of those things that you do, that you're drawn to, those things that you're passionate about, they're there for a reason. They're guiding you to be able to create that life that you want. So I want you to look at something. I want you to, write down all those things in your life that make you feel good, make you feel passionate. They could be big, they could be small. Those things that you have experience in, work experience, life experience, all of those things. And when you do that, you'll start to see a pattern of where the universe has been leading you. Let me give you an example for me. I was the friend that everybody went to when I was young. I had many stains of mascara on my pillows while I had my friends crying and talking to me. I was that person. I was the one that became my mom's primary support when she and my dad separated. I went into psychiatric nursing to help people. And while I was a psychiatric nurse, I learned about all sorts of different therapies and tools to help people from a conscious mind, or, from the conscious level. And then I also had this real interest in why I knew so much, why knowledge came to me so easily. I now know that that's spirit, and that was claircognizance. I just knew stuff. And when I put all those things down, you know what? I have my moments as a mom, and I can look back at them and laugh now at some of them. But I've had my moments as a mom. But I am confident that I'm a good mom, and that I love endlessly and unconditionally. Thanks, Hannah. You, you don't have to do that, but thank you. But all of these things, when I put them down on a page, it helps me to understand why I'm exactly where I am right now. And where I'm going. And that is to help as many people as I can to rise up. To rise up and be the best you can be. To be the most amazing selves you can be and create this life. Because it's there. You can have it. You've got it all. You've got all that experience behind you. I'm just so filled with so many of the things that we can do together. But I want to give you a few things to just leave you with some tools to take with you that are simple. I love this. I think Farrell talked about this. Simple, not always easy to do. And you might know this. Tell me if this is you. Sometimes your thoughts can really take you away. Sometimes you can get up in the morning and think about all of those 100 things that you have to do in the day, going and going and going. And sometimes that feels overwhelming. If that's you, yeah, put an OMG in the chat. If that has been you from time to time, where you're like, oh my gosh, like just slow this down. I'm so overwhelmed. Put an OMG in the chat. I want to talk to you a little bit about this is our brain and overwhelm. Of course, you've heard a lot of this, so I don't need to do this teaching because you've heard so much about it already. But I want to tell you this is about us not being here in the present moment. Because truly the present moment is the only moment that we can create our lives in the way we want to. It's the only moment we can feel, we can smell, we can see, this is the only moment that we have to truly do that. And so when our brains are really going like that, where are we living? Are we living in this moment? No, we're living in the future, which is often that anxiety and that overwhelm. And when our thoughts get filled with all of those things we maybe should or shouldn't have done, or, all those things, when you go to bed, you haven't thought about it all day, but you go to bed at night and you go, oh man, boy, did I ever say the wrong thing there, right? That's when our mind is in the past. And that is often where the sadness or the depression can be. And so this is really a skill to learn, and it's a practice, and it's called presence or mindfulness. So I'm just going to give you a few tips on how to stay mindful in things that you're doing already. So how many of you, just put a 1 in the chat. We haven't used 1 for a while. If you walk every day. Put a 1 in the chat if you walk every day. All right. Awesome. 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 It is a bit of 5. This is a bit of a trick question. Okay. Because I walk from my bedroom to my kitchen. I walk from the kitchen to the living room, or I might walk from my car to the grocery store or to an appointment or whatever. We move every day, right? It's a bit of a trick question. I love it that you guys are walkers, though. It's awesome. It's healthy. But often those are the times when we let our thoughts really roll, is when we're walking, especially when we get up from the morning to go get our tea or coffee or whatever it is we drink. And our thoughts can go. The beauty of this is it's sometimes just a few moments. And so this is a great place to start to become more present. So instead of letting those thoughts really go, start to focus on the miracle of your muscles moving. The miracle of your muscles balancing you to stay on these 2 feet. How your arms sway when you walk, or maybe there's a bit of a wind if you're walking quickly and your hair moves. How everything is working to get you from point A to point B. Now, your brain will say to you, oh my gosh, this is when we think about everything we got to do for the day. And you can say, thank you for reminding of that. Right now, I want to focus on my walking. And go back to focusing on your walking. And your brain might say again, yeah, but this is the time that we always think about everything we need to do in the day. And you can say, thank you for reminding me of that. Almost like a conveyor belt, let it go through your brain and drop off and say, I want to focus on my muscles again. In the beginning, it will be challenging, but as you practice it more, it will become easier to focus with your senses on what you're doing. It's a practice. And I can almost guarantee you, even when you're walking, or to an appointment that you're worried about, if you allow yourself just to have those moments where you focus in the moment on what your body is doing and what your senses are sensing, that it'll bring your thoughts down. And when you get to the next point, you will be much more effective and ready to deal with that situation. Now, there's lots of different places that I can say, here's how drinking your coffee with using all your senses, taking those breaks, having a shower when you smell, you hear, you see, all of those things are ways that you can just bring yourself back into the moment. And I'm going to put, I do have a PDF that will make sure that I get to you in the Facebook group to make sure that you have that. Hannah doesn't have access to it, so don't worry about it, Hannah. But I see that I'm going to run out of time if I don't stop talking about this. I'm very passionate about this, about you staying in the moment, because this is where we truly create from. And it was when I was in the moment and allowed myself to slow down, stop worrying about all those things that I had to worry about, then I created the program that I'm going to talk to you about. I really feel like all of the experience that I have had, all of the training, can help you to fire up your phoenix, to get that process started. And I want to do this with you in a 3-day workshop that I've created. Well, I didn't just create this. I co-created this. This was definitely given to me as a gift to give to you. We're going to go through like taking all of that weight off your shoulders, all of that weight spiritually off of you, all of that weight. We're also going to talk about the things you can do in business, the things you can do if you want to speak. We're also going to talk about how you can let go of those things emotionally, mentally, spiritually. We're going to do some hypnosis. We're going to do some Akashic records. Like, it is going to be a full 3 days. But I want to make sure at the end of the 3 days that you fired up your phoenix to create the life you truly want. And here's the thing. This is the exciting part. This is like I don't know, 597 was the price point. But today I'm giving it to you for 27 because you're here. And because it's my first run through of it, I'm giving it to you for 27. Now, Hannah's not putting in the link yet because I have another extra special part of this. If you're a VIP, you're going to have access to this. I'm giving it to the VIPs. I truly believe this is a life changer, and I want to make sure that this is available to you. And this is what I've been guided. So, Hannah, if you could also put the VIP, perfect. So if you just want to join my class and you want to pay the $27, awesome. I want to see you. I know that this is a life changer and we can fire up your phoenix. If you have joined the VIP, you've already got it. You've got my Manifest Magic Masterclass, and now you've got your Fire Up Your Phoenix 3-day full workshop where we're gonna get you fired up and doing life and business in a way you've never done before. So if you want, like I said, absolutely. If you want to, put that $27, that's cool. But if you really want to have this plus all these other amazing gifts that we've got and recordings, upgrade to VIP. I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer. It's $20 more to get the VIP, right? Okay. Now, Marty, I know you're coming up next. Marty is coming up next, and she's going to talk about the other side of divorce. I can see her smiling at me. And I just want to leave you with this. It's very similar to what Tyler said. I want to leave you with giving yourself grace. We all are learning. We're all falling down. We're all picking ourselves back up again. And it's in the grace that we allow ourselves to open ourselves to what's next. When we give ourselves grace and have faith that where we're supposed to go next is being given to us. It's all in here. We are divine. Divine isn't out there. It's in here. We're divine. Have confidence in that. I'm Lesley Evans, and it has been my pleasure sharing this with you and being with you. And thank you for just being here at Rise Up. And I'm excited to see you and fire up your Phoenix because I know lives are changing. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you.